What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Solomon. For those of you that are new to the channel, please do not forget to like, subscribe and share, and if you have any comments, please drop it down in the comment section below. Today we are going to be talking about things to consider before you rent either an apartment, a condo, a townhouse, or a normal house itself. Oftentimes people actually do realize that apartment that they just rented or the house that they just rented is not actually the best one for them, and due to some facts and some things that they actually missed, that's when they actually know that yes, they made a big mistake. So this video should actually help you guys in making a good decision whether the apartment you rented is actually the best for you, or whether the house you rented is actually the best one for you. Let's get into the things you need to consider. So what we are actually about to talk about is in no specific order or arrangement. So we are just going to be diving into it right now. First things first, we're going to be starting with affordability or your budget. Now, whenever you are renting an apartment or a townhouse or a house itself, you need to make sure that the amount you are renting the house is within your budget. There are fees that you would actually not plan for that will actually come in, and when you go over your budget, that's when you start having issues with your landlord, because you won't be able to pay up the rent in time. Now, there are times that you would actually rent an apartment, and after a year the price of the rent would actually increase. Now, you also have to put that in mind, that a year from now or a year from when you are renting that apartment, the prices for the rent could possibly increase. Secondly, we're going to be talking about the neighborhood. Now, this is also a very important aspect, especially if you have children. You need to make sure that the neighborhood that you're actually going to be renting in is a safe neighborhood. So my advice on this is drive around that neighborhood, mainly at night though, so that you can be able to know who and what things what things happen in that neighborhood. If you're someone that actually likes fun, like the nightlife, and you like somewhere that's actually fun for you, you can actually drive around that neighborhood and see if it's something that's within your your fun type, and then you'll be able to know whether this place is right for me or this place is just not right for me. Next point is going to be your commute to either your workplace, your children's school, or your friend's place or your family member's place. Now, those last two, they're actually not that important. The most important ones are your commute to work and your commute to your children's school. Those two things are very, very important whenever you're trying to make a decision on where to rent. If your children's school is actually somewhere far, now you may not be able to commute like that far distance, because it would affect your timing and affect some other things. Now, especially when you're living in an apartment, let's take for example, you forget something upstairs in your house and you're on like the 10th floor and you forget something up there, you know that your commute to work or to your child's school is like 30 minutes, and you forget something upstairs. Now you have to go back upstairs, go through the elevator, which would actually take 1 to 2 minutes to get down back to you. That cuts into your time and you won't be able to make the commute to work, and that affects your work, and then they fire you and then you don't get funds. Now you're kicked out of the apartment because you don't have cash to pay your rent. So think about your commute to work, and that will be a very good decision when you're trying to find a place to rent. The next point is actually going to be to consider the no pet policy or the pet policy. Now, for in a place like Canada here, or in the States, or wherever you are, now if the apartment you're trying to rent out has a no pet policy, which means they do not allow pets, point blank period, no pets allowed. Now, you would not be able to bring in your pet. If you have a pet that you like to keep around, let's say like you have a dog or you have a cat, now you will not be able to bring a pet to live with you if there is a no pet policy in that building. The next point is going to be about the utilities. Now, this has to do with the agreement. This has to do with the contract. Now, you have to make sure you read the wordings in your contract. I don't mean you should read every single thing though, but there are some important things that you have to read in your contract when you're actually renting an apartment. Now, there are some apartments that would give you the full list of like the utilities you still have to pay. Some will tell you that you actually do not have to pay for any utility, but you have to make sure that that's actually true. So the next point is going to be about you figuring out where the common walls are. When I say common walls, I mean the wall that you and your neighbor share. So now this is pertaining to apartments, townhouses, or condos. Your units could be sharing one wall with another unit. Now that separating wall has to be insulated well, because if it's not insulated well, you'll be disturbed. That's if your neighbor shouts a lot or they make a lot of noise. Now, and you're this person that do not like noise and you do not like to be disturbed. If the insulation is not that strong or it's well done, you just have to stick with the noise from your neighbor. Now the next point is going to be that you have to make sure that the appliances are in working and perfect condition. I do not need to touch much on this, because I'm sure we all understand, like, appliances, they have to work. If they are not working, then why am I in the house in the first place? You get my point? The next point is going to be about your landlord. Now you have to know the distance between your landlord and the place you are renting. If it's an apartment, you have to know if the owner actually stays like close to your apartment or on the same floor with you, or like at least stays in that building with you. Because if the distance is actually far from where you are renting, now that could be an issue in the sense of when there are things that you need to fix in the aspect of maintenance. Now you would obviously have to call the owner of the house, and if they're actually far from you, now it will take a while for them to actually get to you so that they can be able to like fix that thing. They won't be able to come there themselves to see what's going on. They may have to send someone, and then that person may do whatever they want. And lastly, your power outlets. You have to make sure your power outlets are functioning perfectly. This may seem like a joke, but it's actually true. There was this house I once went to. Then I got to the rooms and I was like, okay, I see the power outlet and everything. And then I realized that there was no switch. Like, there was no switch to turn off and on the lights in the room. And I'm like, how does that work? Like, how do you expect me to rent a place where the switches do not work? So like, there was even no bulb like in the rooms. Like, how do you expect me to get such a place? Now, if you do not put such things in mind, I'm so sorry, you're just gonna get a bad place to rent. And we're gonna be wrapping up here today, and I hope with these few points of mine, I've been able to convince you and not confuse you of the decisions and the things you need to consider whenever you're trying to rent an apartment, a townhouse, a condo, or a normal house. Thank you guys for watching today's video. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, and share, and drop a comment in the comment section down below. And I'm gonna be seeing you guys in the next video, and stay safe.